5 ways that Japan was able to transform their economy and doubling their income, their GDP, by more than 3 times in less than 7 years. Other nations have done it, and even your nation can do it. Even my own nation, Kenya, can do it. Let's walk this journey. In 1960, the Prime Minister of Japan then, Prime Minister Hayato Ikeda, came up with a plan of doubling their income or their GDP in a period of 10 years. At that point in 1960, the GDP of Japan was approximately 82 billion US dollars, and their plan was to double that to approximately 160. Then they came up with a raft of measures that would ensure that the economy would be transformed. The first thing that they did was government-led industrial policy. Now, in their Ministry of International Trade, there are many changes that they did in terms of tax incentives, ensuring there was a lot of foreign direct investment. They supported their own local organizations. They did major reforms that were the bedrock of ensuring that their income would be doubled. The second thing that they did was to encourage a culture of high saving. And the savings that they realized were heavily used in transforming the infrastructure. We know today that Japan has one of the most robust railway systems, their airports, their tech, and all that went into that. Remember, their plan was to double their GDP in 10 years. I'm telling you, they did it in just 7 years. And they not only doubled, but they tripled the economy in less than 7 years. The third thing that they did was the technology transfer in the area of research and development. Now, Japan is well known today for their robust technology when it comes to automobiles, when it comes to issues to do with electronics, the shipbuilding. And one of the things that they did, which was quite strategic for them then, was to invest in a lot of technology transfer from US to Europe. All those people, they were able to come and produce in Japan, and they were able to transfer their technology. And from Vasto Global, how we look at it, this is an area that any nation that is keen to transform how the economy is, they must benchmark with the best and ensure that there is that technology transfer to transform some of their economic activities that would give them a strategic advantage. Number 3 was to focus on an export-oriented economy. What do I mean? For Japan, they ensured that the quality of the outputs that they had was world-class. They produced the best that is known. Companies like Toyota today, best in their class. Companies like Sony, when it comes to electronics. Companies like Mitsubishi and many others. So that was one of the things that they did. And all these, I want to acknowledge one person who is called Edward Deming. He was a statistician from the US. He came up with a total quality management system that, in fact, initially, it was less adopted in the US, but when Japan saw it, they saw an opportunity there, and they were able to embrace it. In fact, today, we have the Demings Award that is being done in Japan up to date, and that is the basis of how Japan is able to produce quality items at affordable prices. So one of the things that they did was to transform the economy, not only from just a consumer, but they were targeting the globe. And any nation that is keen to transform the economy, they must ensure that they are able to transform their outputs to be at the global stage, quite competitive, quality-wise, cost-wise, and have a niche for themselves. Number 4, the next thing that they did was reforms in their labor. There were issues to do with the education. One of the most interesting cases about Japan is, in those days, there was an industrial action where some workers felt that they were unfairly treated, and the place that they were in was in a shoe manufacturing factory. So as they were trying to negotiate their salaries and how they would survive, the workers went on a go-slow. Did you know what they did? On that very first day, rather than just going on a go-slow and boycotting work, they said, we shall only produce right leg shoes. Shoes for the right leg only. So they produced a lot, but for just one leg, not both. Now, when the management took that issue, they had a discussion. Of course, you cannot sell shoes for one leg. They must be both, right and left. So management was able to have a conversation with the workers, and they agreed. Now, on the following day, when they agreed, they produced the left side. Do you know what changed? That within these 2 days, they produced much more, the right and left, than when they were just producing double shoes, the right and the left together. See, That's what we call the renewal of their mind. Their mindset was renewed. You've also seen in the recent days, whenever Japan goes for, call it World Cup or any other event, they even clean up their stadiums because something changed in their mindset. Now at Vastok Global, we believe we cannot transform any nation unless their mindset is shifted, that they are able to see that the world can be different, that they are able to transform their country. Now let me give you the statistics and the figures. Now in 1960, the GDP of Japan was around 82 billion US dollars. In less than 7 years, it was 256 billion US dollars. Do you know what's the current economy or GDP of Kenya in US dollars? Roughly 108 to 120 billion US dollars. Meaning, we are not even halfway of what Japan did in less than 7 years. Now, welcome to Vastok Global. Why are we having this conversation? We are having this conversation to tell you that things can be done. Others have done it, and it's time for any other nation that is keen on transforming their nation, they're able to engage us. Welcome to Vastok Global. Here we say we transform nations, and this is where vision meets execution. And we believe we are able to transform the nation dreams. Welcome to Vastok Global. Let's keep on having this conversation. Welcome.